So, we won't banish you, and I'll put a mark on you. Meaning, he may have been one of those people that the mark, like the mark of sin, the mark of darkness. Some people say it's like kind of a face tattoo. Cultures that are prone to face tattoo. I don't know. I see people that have the mark on them. It could be a number of things. Unhappiness, discontent, uneasiness, and hardly someone that's powerful. It's someone that's very reactive and cannot and will not. The land's going to be hard for them to till, and so therefore they'll wonder. They don't have stability in their life, right? So that was Cain, right? He inadvertently murdered his brother, not knowing what it was, but he did it, right? And he felt bad about it. He lost his brother. He was angry at him just a little bit, and he struck him. And he struck him down in anger or jealousy, right? And, in his lineage, it seems like both lineages have Lamechs and Enochs. But then you got the lineage of Seth, because Abel's not around to produce children. I don't know if he did. I don't think he produced any children. But Seth produced, the lineage of Noah. That was the lineage of power, the lineage of, the godly people, right? And, this kind of leads me to the point of those people at that time. Sin has consequence, right? And, I don't know, you got these Nephilim people, and everyone talks about, oh, it's the angels. Well, no, that's a temptation. That's a temptation by the fallen angels to fornicate, to get some of the blessings. The sons of God, right? The daughters of men were tempting, right? And descendants of Cain were persuasive. They were marked. They were, they were conniving. They went to the descendants of Seth, right, the godly people, and they bore children. And that's one deal, That was these demons being conniving and telling these women to do this, that, and the other. And I don't know if it was all this genetic stuff or whatever. But I do think that at some point there was the sin was so bad on the earth, and the evil was so bad, people were eating people. And that's horrific. And we had a need for a flood. And we had people that were jealous and ridiculed the lineage of Seth all the way up to Noah. Hey, what's your deal? Being jealous. And wanting to know why Noah has a direct connection to God with his power and is able to build this ark by himself, and why God would pick him. But it's denoted in the book of Enoch that Noah looked different from a lot of other people. They thought that maybe he might have been one of the sinful offsprings. Now, and I do think that people readily saw, because there's several incidents in the Bible that before Christ, people saw these angels. But Noah found favor with God, and he commanded him to build an ark, and we talked about that. And the guy was obviously a dang good carpenter and had God's blessing, where Cain notably didn't, you know. And he was unproductive, and his towns were built on self-will and probably slave power, and covenants with demons. You know, I don't know. But the world got evil. And God saw fit to destroy it, right? And so we know that Cain didn't have prosperity where the descendants of Seth did, namely all the way up to Noah. And his line survived. You know, what's weird, and I'll post an article about that. There's there's two kinds of DNA in a human cell. You have mitochondrial DNA, which is a maternal DNA, and you have nuclear DNA, which is like produces all the you know, protein or whatever, you know, produces all the stuff in your body, and it makes you look like you're one of two parents or both put together, you know. And it's like inheritance and your ability and so forth. Well, mitochondrial DNA is just the DNA present in the mitochondria, which produces energy. And for the cell to do its functions, makes 36 ATP. And there's a process of alcohol dehydrogenase, right? But I don't want to go into that, but your body actually makes alcohol. I can go into that on another time about alcoholism and that little process. But so this mitochondrial DNA, you can actually test it and see from one person to another and see if you have a mother in common, right? Where and that remains unchanged, right? Whereas nuclear DNA, you know, it's always mixed every time you have a kid, right? But you inherited mitochondrial DNA from your mother and not from the father. So it always stays the same, where the nuclear DNA doesn't. So it's pretty neat little aspect of cells and so forth, and of inheritance. And so I'm willing to bet that there's probably about maybe 5 variations of mitochondrial DNA, if not one. I mean, it makes sense. If there's one, then that would tell us that Eve was the common ancestor. Now, I don't know, but we can all go back to that and talk about that. But yeah, this walk is good, man. I'm probably gonna have to go out to eat again tonight. My wife cut her finger. Man, we've been busy, man. My wife and I. She cut her finger, and I had to take her to the emergency room last night, and I had to go pick her up. And I told her, I go, I'm not gonna stay here with the man. The emergency room's only like 2 miles away from our house, but I go, I'm not gonna stay here. And I'm gonna turn this off here.